Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to Foil Fridays. Just the other day, we got out for one of our board meetings.
This is it. This is our local beach right here. It's early spring, you know, it's about 50 degrees. But it's my favorite time of year. The beachgoers aren't here yet. It's a little brisk, but you know, it's always summer inside a 654. We got Tucker up here getting ready to go out on the foil. Let's find out.
We had a awesome session up in Muskegon at one of our favorite spots between the pier arms. It gets really flat and smooth in there, although it is a little bit shallow sometimes. So we got up there, pumped up early in the morning. We're up with the sunrise. So because the conditions were so awesome, we broke out a bunch of different gear, got out there with the idea to do some reviews, some comparisons. And first up was the Naish 112 foil board and Naish Surf Thrust large foil. Let's jump right into it. So here we have the Naish 112 foil board. I've ridden this board a few times before, and for my weight, it's really small. This one's only a little over 3 foot long, and I'm about 200 pounds. So this is a pretty small board for me. Because of that, I choose to ride it with larger wings. I can do it with the smaller wings, but I really got to have a little bit more kite power. I prefer to ride with less kite power. So this is the board. As you can tell, it is quite small. It's well put together. It's got some chine, got a little volume in the middle, just for some float, and have it set up with the Slingshot foot hooks here, and that just helps you get up the water without purling. Purling, if you haven't heard of that before, is the nose of the board digging into the water. So on a really short board like the Naish 112, that can be an issue when you're board starting, especially from a beginner level when you're not ready to come directly onto foil from a board starting position. So those foot hooks really allow you to keep the nose of the board out of the water from getting dug in, and give you that little bit of extra control when you're doing that. Also, just gives you better control of the board when board starting in waves or choppy conditions, where normally the board could get washed away or pushed around on you as you're board starting. So it just makes life all time a little bit easier and allows you to spend more time on foil and less time in the water. So a lot of these small boards a lot of times are sold you know, for really expert level riders, and that's certainly true. A lot of those guys really do enjoy these boards. However, you know, with the addition of foot hooks or foot straps and larger, more accessible foil, I definitely don't feel scared of getting out there trying one of these little boards. They are an absolute blast on the foil. You give it a really awesome viewpoint without all that gear in the way, and you know, it really just allows you to really control the foil with less swing weight from the board. So they're very playful, lots of fun, and everybody's going to try one sometime. If you've got a little bit of foil experience, don't be too scared of it, especially if you're on the lighter end of the spectrum. For this session, we had really perfectly smooth water, no current, and really buttery smooth, kind of 18 to 21 mile an hour winds. So I went out on the trusty 5-meter drifter. I've sung the praises of this kite, many times for foiling, and I'm going to do it again today, just in a little shorter form. It drifts all over the place, goes where you want it, and it is lightning fast. You can redirect and reposition that kite anywhere in the window without much worry or difficulty. So it was a perfect choice for today's or the other day's session, and we had a ton of fun on that kite, no matter what foil I was riding. So hard to go wrong with that kite. Tried it on some 9-meter lines. Wasn't quite windy enough for that, but it's always fun to get out there and experiment, playing around with different setups, different line lengths, and all that stuff. So that was my kite, 5-meter drifter. Hard to go wrong with any of the drifters, but for this session and the larger wing sets, the 5 was absolutely perfect. As always, guys, be sure to click the eye icon. That'll take you to our Foil Boarding Knowledge Center, where you're going to find a ton of other videos, articles, info there. But most importantly, you're going to find a much more exhaustive review, lots more information on this topic right there. So go ahead and click that eye icon. So you guys might be wondering what we bolted to that Naish 112. Well, let me tell you, we bolted the Naish Thrust Surf Large to that Naish 112. It complemented the smaller board quite well. Those extra large wings really give you a little bit more lift and help make those board starts a little bit easier. Although it's not quite as easy as a big board would be, it's still going to make your life a lot easier than a real small pair of wings that aren't going to allow you to quickly rise on foil before that nose pearls over and you fall in the water. So still, not the easiest out there, but it really does help with that board. And if you're out there free riding, riding around, playing with footwork tricks, doing low speed riding, light wind riding, swell riding, any of that free ridey kind of stuff, you're really going to have a lot of fun on this foil. It does have a pretty raw and aggressive feel when compared to other large surf wings, in that it really wants to carve hard, and it doesn't mind being quickly thrown from side to side. It'll do that relatively quickly because of those kinked wing tips that it has. I'll give you a good look at it here. You can kind of see how those wing tips kink out towards the end, and that gives you that kind of playfulness and that ability to roll fast from side to side, as well as offer you some tracking forward once you build up that speed. So if there's a downside to this foil or a trade-off, it's probably that it's not the fastest foil out there for kiteboarding. It really is a lot better suited to underpowered riding or light wind riding. So for those of you guys that want to go really fast, racing, jumping, doing any of the big air kind of stuff, this probably isn't the one for you. But if you're a person that enjoys free riding, light wind, or somebody that wants a crossover foil between surfing and kiteboarding, this would be a great choice for you. In that same session, I was able to ride the Cloud P27 back to back with the Naish Thrust Large. And while these are similar kind of foils in terms of surface area and the kind of person they're addressing, they do have some fairly stark contrasts. I'll just tap on that briefly, but next week we will be doing a more comprehensive look at the Cloud, and we'll talk about some more differences at that time as well. Essentially, the easiest way to look at the difference of these is the Naish is a little bit more nimble. It wants to be ridden a little bit more aggressively, and as a result, it's a little harder for beginners to jump into right away, but for kiteboarders, it's going to feel a little bit more nimble and fun. For those of you looking to really carve up the waves in surfing, the Thrust is going to be very playful in that way. Conversely, the Cloud is very soft, very forgiving. It's quite stable, although not so stable that you can't get really aggressive with it. If you watch some of the videos out there are guys riding Clouds that are phenomenal, super impressive, and they are a very soft, very mellow, cushy feeling ride. To contrast them, and kind of an analogy, the Naish Thrust would be more of a sports car, or at least a sporty car, and the Cloud would be more of a Cadillac, because that thing, you just want to sit in it and drive for days, and your feet and your body aren't going to hate you for it. So that's a quick down and dirty comparison. We'll go into depth a little bit more in our blog post upcoming recently, and then next week as well in our look at the Cloud P27 foil. This has been Foil Fridays. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed our video. As always, subscribe if you want to see more Foil Fridays video and more awesome content from MACkite Boarding. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop those in the comments section below. We'll go ahead and address it as soon as we can, and potentially make a video about it to show you a little bit more in depth what we might mean with our answer. This has been Foil Fridays. We'll see you next week.